Hello and welcome to my Halloween special, where we will decide which one is the spookiest Volca. Let's go! So in this episode we will use the Volcas to try to create some scary sounds, which could be used like for a cinema score for a kind of a horror or scary movie. So first we will need some inspiration before we start creating. Since different synth sounds has been used in a lot of scary movies in history, I think the first and most legendary is probably from the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951, where an alien unexpectedly lands on our planet Earth. This now iconic soundtrack was created by Bernard Herrmann, the same guy that actually made a lot of soundtrack for Alfred Hitchcock as well. And for this famous soundtrack he used the theremin to create this wobbly synthy sound that they play all the time when the aliens show up. And this kind of eerie pitch modulated sound has then become more or less a reference sound in horror and sci-fi movies. Next example is the movie Halloween from 1978, which has a really cool synthesizer soundtrack that is created by John Carpenter, that he created on a Moog 3 modular system. Really cool track. And even more examples we find later in 1981 and the movie Evil Dead, where Joseph Loduca, he used at least a Prophet 5 when creating the soundtrack for that movie. And probably also some other synths, both for sound effects and for scores. And then I also have to bring up my favorite soundtrack, that is from the movie Zombie 2 from 1979. Ooh, that's a really nice soundtrack with a lot of cool synth sounds. Okay, so now we have a lot of inspiration. Now it is time to create our own spooky sounds on the Korg Volcas. Okay, let's start with the Volca Nubass and see what spookiness level we have here. On a general term, I don't think the Volca Nubass is very spooky. It's great for acid bass lines. That's more for action move, it's not very spooky. And what I remember, if we pitch up a bit, it sounds pretty much like an organ. Not very scary. What we could do is if I take away the sub-oscillator. This is pretty eerie. Let me add some reverb on that as well. Yeah, that is actually pretty scary. The Volca Nubass is probably not the scariest one, but it can be used for some high-pitched, eerie sounds, and maybe also for some organ sounds. Let's see, let's carry on. Next one is the Volca Beats. Let's see if this is scary. No, I don't think it's very scary, but these drum sounds are actually quite good for the kind of synthwave music that was used a lot in like 80s sci-fi and 80s horror movies. They usually had like this kind of drums. So as drum sounds, they sound quite a lot like it would have been from 80s movies. Maybe we can use these drums, but I don't think it's particularly scary and spooky. I don't think so, no. So let's carry on. And Volca Sample is actually not a synthesizer. It can sample any sound, so it can get as spooky as it wants to. Since it cannot create any sounds, it can only sample, it is out of the competition. Next. So the Volca Kick, I think, can actually be quite spooky. You have this bass sound that is pretty creepy. And also you can create these sweeping effects if I increase the delay and the bend time. Yeah, this can definitely be very creepy. This I can use. And then there's the Volca Drum, and I think this can really create some super spooky effects. Since you know the Volca Drum, you have a lot of different digital waveforms you can use, and also a lot of digital modulation and envelopes. So if I start just with this simple kick sound, I can just start to change this by basically editing the envelope and the modulation. Can I add some more release? And then I can select some other parameters for the modulation, making it a little bit crazier. Yeah, that is some seriously spooky effects that we can really use if we create some effects for our scary movie. Yeah, and the Volca Bass, I think, can definitely be creepy. Yeah, first of all, we can of course make this like high-pitched sounds, which are pretty creepy. Let's add some reverb there as well. But what we can do with the Volca Bass is actually some more string-sounding sounds. So if I first go to unison mode and I detune the oscillators slightly. You can do like these deep sounding string sounds. Should add some attack on the envelope as well. Yeah, that is pretty scary. Yeah, that we can definitely use. That is pretty scary. Okay, let's see what else we got. So the Volca Keys, this has kind of the same source module as the Volca Bass, so we have kind of the same sound engine, but we have some more capabilities here. But this can also be used for like this high-pitched sounds. Should always add some reverb on the Volca Keys, I think. That's creepy. And of course we can make like the lower string sounds. It's good to detune this a bit. That is pretty scary. We also have a quite good LFO here. So LFOs are great for creating these vibrating sounds. So that we should definitely do. So we increase the pitch LFO. So we get... Yeah, this is spooky sounding. Yes, very spooky. And with the Volca Keys we also have the poly ring mode, which is also kind of scary. Definitely spooky. I think the spookiness level of the Volca Keys is very high. But let's see, what do we have more? Okay, so next is the Volca Modular, and this one really has potential. I think just the source module itself is like haunted. This is just a pure waveform. And then you have the fold and the modulation function that makes it even creepier. And then I can actually connect cables here. So for example, I can modulate a bit here. I can take like the random woggle, for example. Which one is the random? Okay, it's that one. And add that basically to any of the source modules. Let's add it to mod. Very haunted. And then I can add some, actually I have a built-in reverb. Makes it even spookier. Yeah, this definitely has potential. Let's see, what do we have left? Yeah, and then finally we have the Volca FM, and this also has grand potential to make scary sounds, I think. For example, the high-pitch sounds. And then also you have like the string sounds, brings atmosphere. Definitely spooky, and also think you can use this one. This one is also scary. Yes, very scary. And also what you can do, if you can do some menu diving. If I take, for example, this sound. Let me, for example, let's see if I go to LFO waveform. Here we go. And I remember now that 4 is actually sinus. Yeah, that is very scary. Can probably create some really weird sound effects as well. Let's just see what happens if I tweak some parameters. Definitely very scary. This is definitely a candidate for being the spookiest Volca, I would say. Before we decide, let's put some of these Volcas together and create our own cinematic soundscape. So we just quickly make a short scary movie here and we'll create some sound effects to that. That will be fun, and we'll see how it works in practice. Let's go. Yes, and I almost forgot the competition. It was so much fun to make a scary movie. And actually it is a tie. We have 2 winners, I can't decide. So the 2 spookiest Volcas is FM with the fantastic wobbly FM sounds, and Volca Modular with all the eerie, tweaking, strange synth sounds, which would be great for any horror movie. That's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, ta-ta!